Hey, how you guys doing? It's Shell here. This is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time, and I'm pretty nervous about it, but it's something that I am very passionate about. And so I'm just gonna hop right into it. I've never made a video before. I'm doing this from my cell phone. I don't have a professional camera and lighting and all of that stuff. And I wanted to wait till everything was perfect. I wanted to have my teeth fixed and a nice backdrop. And I wanted to have my boobs done. And I gotta have this and that. And it's like, at the end of the day, people want to hear what you have to talk about. And they don't care about what you look like as long as you're keeping it real. So I was at work the other night and I was talking to a young lady about what things that I was doing for myself, like doing celery juicing and working out, and how like I started working 2 jobs and I have 4 kids, so I wasn't able to do it as much anymore, and how I started back on my celery juicing. And she was like, "Wow, like I'm learning a lot from you." And so I told her, well, I would like to start making a YouTube channel, but what I want to talk about first is being raised by a covert narcissist mother. And it was difficult growing up like that. It was very difficult, actually. I'm an only child, so having to deal with that and not having any friends or brothers and sisters. I mean, I did have friends, but I didn't have any that I felt comfortable talking to my situation about, because I felt lonely and I felt like nobody else is going through this. Nobody else is going to understand. People's moms don't act like this. So it was very lonely. And it wasn't like just like a hard season that I went through my life. It was every day until I was pretty much about like 28 when I finally figured out what it was. So for my whole childhood, I was raised by both of my parents. Well, my stepdad he's my dad, but technically he's my stepdad, but he's been in my life since I was 2 years old. So my parents, I call him, my mom, I call him my dad, and that's just what it is. But yeah, so growing up with my mom being a covert narcissist, which I'm pretty sure you've heard of what a narcissist is, but a covert narcissist, and I definitely suggest going and looking and doing more research in, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I don't know anything like that. All I can tell you is what I've been through. So a covert narcissist, from what I've read, is one of the most dangerous kinds, because they make themselves look like they're amazing to everybody else around them, but to the person that they're targeting, which was me, it was like a mind fuck. I try not to, because I'm a mom, I try not to cuss that much, but every once in a while, like I do say cuss words, bad words or whatever, but yeah, but that's what it was. They do things like, they withhold emotion from you, and they won't love on you and show any kind of affection, but yet your birthday comes and they just overload you with a bunch of gifts. And that's why I said it's a mind fuck, because it's like, okay, you, like, do you love me? Do you not love me? You're my mom. What's going on? And you're just a little girl. I was just a little girl having to deal with something like this. It was difficult. It was really hard. And I know now, I'm 32 years old now, and I know now that the reason why I went through that is so I can tell my story to help other people, and that's why I'm here now in my car, because I don't have my own home right now. I don't even have a nice camera. I'm doing it from my little cell phone. But, it is what it is. Like, I just kept saying that like I said, I want to wait till everything's perfect, but it's been on my heart and on my mind to just talk about it. So that's what I'm doing now. And, I've moved out of my parents' house and moved back in multiple times. One time I was living with them, and I was like, I'm going to make a YouTube channel. I'm going to talk about this, because people need to hear this story. I'm sure there's other people going through the same thing that I went through. And then once I moved out, and I, just happy to be on my own and finally have that freedom and being able to take care of my kids and not be in that situation anymore and just feel free. I just let it go. And then I moved back in again, and then I moved out. And the last time I moved out, my husband was getting irritated with me, of course, because I was starting to show the same signs that that she had. Because I was an only child and I didn't have any role models to look up to, I just started doing the same things that she was doing, breaking my own stuff, because you get mad over the stupidest things, because if somebody tries to tell you something's different than what it is from what you're saying, then you just get go overboard with your emotions and get extremely angry. So I break my own stuff, and like, which is so stupid to me now, because it's like, I worked for that, I paid for that, and then I turn around and I break it. Like, that's just so dumb. But what I'm getting to is, one time, me and my husband, we got into an argument, and I was 6 months pregnant, and I have really bad eczema. And I usually, at the time, I would constantly keep my nails done, because whenever I scratch, my real nails would just completely destroy my skin. So I kept my nails done, and then one of my nails fell off, and as we were arguing, I pushed past him, and that nail that fell off, which was my real nail, was now exposed. Me pushing past him, I scratched him. Well, I went to jail for a baby scratch. And when I tell people about it, they're like, oh, hell no, he's a punk, and da-da-da-da, and this and that. But really, of course, when I was there, being pregnant, sitting there for 2 days, I wasn't eating that shit that they was trying to feed us. And now I'm not giving my baby any nourishment. It was a really bad experience, and I was just pissed off the whole time I was there. But then once I got back home, that's what really helped me change. Realizing that, okay, if I continue to be like this, one, I'm going to be just like her. And two, now my children are going to be like that. And that's not what I want to do. And that was a huge factor that made me change my life. So it was a huge blessing in disguise. I definitely didn't understand it at the time, because I was just mad. But looking back on it, once I was able to calm down and be back in my own space and in my home, I realized that that's what it happened for, because I then decided that I don't want to be like that anymore. And then because of that situation, we ended up losing our home. I had to move back in with my parents again. And then, of course, living with my mom, seeing these signs. Oh, let me just reverse real quick. So while I was still living in that house after I got out of jail, I sent her this really long text message saying, I'm this way because of you. And I mean, this text message was long. And I sent her the message. Nothing in return. And you would think, as a parent, that you would be like, you know what, I'm sorry you feel this way, but I still love you. We should talk in person. No response whatsoever, because she's unable to have any type of emotional connection whatsoever. So, sorry, I'm in my car, and I live in Vegas. It's hot. And I don't have any air, and I put the windows up because I'm sitting at a park right now. My husband's with the kids at the park, but there's a baseball game going on behind me, so I rolled my windows up so there's no outside noise going on. But so anyways, she never replied to that text message. My dad, who I call her spokesperson, he ended up speaking on her behalf. And then I ended up having to move back in with them anyways. And then I started seeing these ways again. But because of that text message, it was like she knew I was onto her. She knew, like, I knew something was up. So she just kept her distance. And I'm still living with them. Actually, no, I have moved out, and then I moved back in again. Yeah, so I moved back in with my parents again, and then I started realizing, she's keeping her distance, but I'm still starting to see these signs and get reminded again, like, okay, this is the person that raised you. Don't let how she treated you and how you felt as a little girl, don't let that go. You don't let it go, because you can tell your story and you can help somebody. And I had this dream. There was this show that I used to watch. I don't watch TV or Netflix anymore unless it's kid stuff. But there was this show on Netflix called Shameless, and it's pretty popular. So I'm pretty sure people have heard of it. But anyways, if you haven't, the show is about it's like a family, a bunch of brothers and sisters. And in my dream, I was one of the sisters, and we drove across country, broke into this mansion, and then another family came, and they were like, well, we want to buy it. And we were like, well, no, we've been here first. this is ours. And they were like, but you broke into it. And then there was this drama going back and forth for days. And then eventually the oldest sister, who her name in the show is Fiona, she came to me and said, well, we're leaving. And I'm like, well, okay, where are we going? And then she was like, no, we're leaving you here. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, your mom's black. And that, it just broke my heart. And I started crying. Oh, it's a little squirrel. And so in my dream, I started crying, and I woke up and I was just bawling my eyes out. And that just right there, that reminded me of that little girl in me who used to go to bed crying her eyes out because her mom didn't show her any type of love or affection. And I felt lonely because I was all by myself. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I was very awkward around other people because I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to be as a person. I know how to be myself now, definitely myself now, but when I'm around her, or even my dad, who's not a narcissist, but he's been married to one for over 30 years, I can't be myself around them. It's very weird and awkward. And that's why I didn't make this video while I'm in their house, because that would just be really uncomfortable for me, and I don't want me to feel uncomfortable, and then my kids feel that vibe, even though they're only the little ones. So I have 3 of my own, and my oldest is my stepdaughter. She's 16, and the 2 that are living with me right now are he just turned 2 and 3, and then my oldest son, he's 11. He lives with his dad, who they live like right down the street. Because we only have one room to live in, and that would just be way too cramped, and he's now in middle school. But anyway, I don't want to get off track. Back to the dream and how I felt like I couldn't let it go. I had to talk about this, and that dream put me back in that mindset, okay, of being that little girl, not having anybody to talk to, just being lonely. It sucks. Like, it's being lonely. Like, it's, it's not something, it's a common word, but being just a little girl and not feeling any love from your mother, it's tough. It's hard to go through. And if you're out there right now and you're watching this, and you're watching it for a reason. This video didn't just pop up just by chance. It came because it's supposed to come to you. And if you're going through this right now, my heart goes out to you, and just know that you will overcome it. It's not going to be that way for the rest of your life. It sucks, trust me, I know, but you can overcome. I overcame it. I decided, being like 28 years old, like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing the same things that this woman did to me. I'm not going to be any better. As much as I say I don't respect her for what she's done to me, I'm going to end up being the exact same way. And that for me was like, okay, no, we're not doing this. I didn't end up going to any counselors or psychiatrists or anything like that. I just was able to do a lot of research on YouTube. There's a lot of information out there that you can find out about narcissism, because there's different terms of them. And once I came across it, I was like, the first form of narcissism, the videos I was watching, I was like, no, I don't think that. Like, that seems pretty harsh. And no, she wasn't like that because she kind of did this. Then I came across a covert narcissist, and like they withhold love from you, but then they'll buy you a shitload of presents for your birthday, or they'll do something great for Christmas. And my mom's very known for that. Like, she loves buying everybody Christmas presents, but then withholding emotion and withholding love and affection. And it's like, at the end of the day, I don't care about gifts. If you can just tell me that you love me and really mean it, that's all I want. But now that I'm 32 years old, I know that's not going to happen, and I've accepted that. And now I know to do better for my children, and I love on them all the time. I love my babies, my big baby, my stepdaughter. Before I had my 2-year-old and 3-year-old, it was my stepdaughter, and she lived in another city, but then she would come in the summertime to live with me and my husband. And I had my oldest, my 11-year-old, and because of my relationship with my mom, and I had him so young, I had him when I was 19, didn't know what I was doing. So our relationship is kind of weird. And then my relationship with my stepdaughter, at that time, I was being like my mom, and I was treating my stepdaughter the same way. And it was just so, now that I'm looking back on it, it was so wrong. It was just messed up. The things you would do, like, oh, I'm gonna do something for my son, but I'm gonna withhold it from you, and I'm gonna do this, but I'm not gonna do that. Like, that's just too much. Like, it's just too much to think, like, well, if this happens, and I could do this, and then this, and like, how about just calm down, be yourself, and just live life, and just treat everybody the same, and treat everybody respect, and as corny as it sounds, but treat people the way you want to be treated. Everybody. It's that simple. And so now that I know better, of course, if you know better, you do better. And now that she's moving in with us permanently, now I know she already sees that change in me, but we're just not living together right now. Like, right now, I'm living with my parents and with my two little ones, and my husband's living with his mom and his daughter. And then my son is living with his dad. So everybody's all split up and all over the place. I just got approved for an apartment, which we'll be moving into less than 2 weeks. I'm so happy. Because I've been living with my parents again for 5 months. And this time I know for sure we're not going back. So I'm very happy about it. But for the sake of not making this video too long, I will definitely be making more videos and talking about this. And if you like it, if you really feel like you can relate to me and relate to what I'm talking about, subscribe to this and let me know what you want me to talk about next time, because this is something I'm very passionate about, and I don't see myself doing anything else. Like, this is what I want to be doing. Of course, I have to pay for my family. You know, we got bills to pay. I'm working 2 jobs right now, taking care of 4 kids. And I want to get to a point to where I can do this as a full-time job. This is my passion. This is what I want to talk about. It's nothing that I have to, you know, at work, I'm a cocktail waitress at both of my jobs. So all the walking that you have to do, all the customer service, and hi, how are you? And just be all bubbly and talkative. Like, I am a happy person and positive, but, you know, everybody has bad days. And to have to go into work and you're working for somebody else, and I'm on call, so on both of them. So I'm getting called in from my bosses, like, can you come work this shift? Can you come do this? Like, I don't want to live that life. I want to be doing something that's easy to me, that I can just talk about it. Like, when I was talking about this to a girl that I work with, and it just came so easy to me. I was just like, just talking and talking. And like, when she was like, wow, like, you should really make a video and make a channel. And I was like, I'll do it once I get my own place. And I'm like, you know what? I just need to do it now. I finally got approved for a place that I know I'm going to finally move into. So I just got to go with it. Watch me grow. Watch me move into my apartment and get a new car, because this car has got to go. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to make this video too long. Subscribe, thumbs up for me, and let me know what you want me to talk about next. All right, bye guys.